was either in the 3rd or 4th grade when the schools began teaching me the difference between needs and wants. They use examples like ice cream versus vegetables, a shiny toy versus a bed, or even a pet goldfish versus something as simple as toothpaste. Well, as children, it was hard for some of us to determine the difference, especially when it was something we felt like we couldn't live without in the moment. It took maturity for us to realize that, okay, maybe that brand new Barbie doll wasn't all that necessary like I thought. But with every passing year, we grew older, but that didn't make deciphering the difference between things any easier. Just because the options changed didn't mean the principle changed. So while we thought needs and wants was a 3rd grade lesson, we stopped developing and sharpening that skill, and we just left it to emotional rationalization to make our decisions for us. I think all of us have had our fair share of looking at something in the long run and asking ourselves, why in the world did I buy that? We may have had a really compelling mental argument at the time as to why we needed it, but what that really shows us is that we lack mastering of the old need versus wants game. Now, that concept wasn't just taught so you could learn, test on it, and move on to the next grade. It was taught back then because they understood a basic principle to development in life, which is having decision-making skills. Now, unfortunately, many are still on a 4th grade level of decision-making. But that doesn't keep life from rolling around and forcing some of us to choose between work versus fun, eating home versus eating out, getting that brand new phone versus saving. You see, the bulk of changing your money mindset is not only going to be understanding certain principles, but how to work them with your money. The first principle is prioritization. Prioritizing is going to be the act of habitually and practically placing things in order of importance, like needs over wants. Actively being responsible in finances by identifying what must be done versus what can wait, or what is just not as important right now. Maybe we need to re-identify what needs are. Needs are also known as the 4 walls of living. This will be food, housing, transportation, and clothing. By having these 4 things in a stable manner shows that you have a pretty solid foundation for living. But then life begins to happen and we come across stuff like emergencies. No, not my favorite singer is having a concert in my city emergency, but real life, grown people emergencies. These things will be pertaining to maybe your health. Maybe you've had a bodily injury. Something may have happened to your only reliable form of transportation, so now you need car repairs. There could be some extreme home damage that just cannot wait. Or you might have children and they come with their own group of needs and emergencies. Other emergencies will be things like job loss or even death in the family. By having just one, and God forbid 2 of these things happening to you in a short time span can be very detrimental to your financial health if you are not prepared. It is in these situations where we begin to know that maybe that concert wasn't an emergency after all. The latest statistic on savings say that 56% of U.S. adults cannot pay for a $1,000 emergency from their savings. That literally means that if I were in a room with 10 people, just 10, every other person would not have it. That is just too many. Because what do people do without the means to get something done? What do those people do? They go to somebody else who can do it. And in that same scenario, that means 5 people are going to the 5 people who do have it, putting them possibly in a situation of financial ruin. This is irresponsible. Now, this is not to shoot accusations, but somewhere throughout the 12 months of the year, we ought to be able to store away for a rainy day. Now, I, along with the great Dave Ramsey, advise that everyone should at least have $1,000 in a savings account somewhere. And put barriers up on your savings accounts. Did you hear that? Accounts with an S. You don't have to have just one. Make a savings for rainy days. You can make a savings for things you want in the near future, like a vacation or a gift. That is up to you. Which brings me to our wants. So wants are going to be things like entertainment, eating out, vacation, beauty, games, shopping at the mall or online, those new highlights or hairstyles that you want. Now, I understand that as we live in America, it can be hard to realize that most of the things we do every day are actually considered a luxury, especially eating out and going on vacations. But the way you can determine whether something is a need or want is by recognizing what is required for your survival and knowing to what extent you need it to. Now, we all know what we need for our survival. Those are the 4 walls of living. But many people don't know how to properly measure to what extent you need of those items. An item in the need category can quickly become a want based on the nature of the situation. For example, clothes are a necessity. We all need clothes. No one should be without any clothes. But is Louis Vuitton, Gucci, or other name brand clothes a necessity? Now let me say it another way, because I want people to understand that this same concept applies to all people on all economic levels. Again, clothes are a necessity. But is shopping at Target, H&M, Shein, or whatever your online favorite fashion store is, and picking up stuff every time you visit a necessity? See how I just caught so many more of you? Because it applies the same with everything and everyone. This goes for food, housing, transportation. You do not need the latest, newest car. There's a time and a season for that. But if you are working to take your finances from a low level to the next level, you are going to need to make some current sacrifices. And technically, it's not a sacrifice, because there's nothing wrong with driving an older version of a car. Now, I am in no way condoning buying a vehicle that isn't worth the time of day, but I am just trying to get you to practice modesty, because that expensive purchase may make you happy in the moment, but it's going to bring a world of troubles later. We must remember that anything that does not impact our general survival of life is not a necessity. Now, I hope no one is feeling like I am telling them to live like a poor, stingy man. I've said it before and I will say it again. I want you to enjoy the finer things in life. I want you to be able to go into the store and get whatever you like that doesn't harm your 4 walls of living. I really do want you to live your life like it's golden, because in heaven it is. So it should be that way down here too.